Welcome to the Throttle Up Leadership Podcast. Our theme for 2025 is the future of work. Meaning is the new money. In a world shaped by rapid innovation and constant change, the pursuit of purpose and impact has never been more important. I'm Dr. John Dentico, your host, bringing over 30 years of experience in leadership, strategic thinking, and purpose-driven innovation. Here, we tackle the pressing challenges of our time, from the rise of artificial intelligence to the growing need for meaning in the workplace. Together, we'll uncover how leaders can ethically integrate AI to enhance decision-making and keep humanity at the heart of their organizations. Remember, amidst all the technological advancements, in the end, it's always about the people. This podcast is your resource for actionable tools, thought-provoking discussions, and inspiring stories. It's time to go beyond leadership development and focus on leadership impact, creating workplaces where people thrive, innovation flourishes, and meaning truly becomes the new currency. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Now, let's throttle up and dive into today's episode. Hello and welcome to the Throttle Up Leadership Podcast. I am your host, Dr. John Dentico. With me today is Sree Kaluva. Sree is a visionary entrepreneur, award-winning IT leader, and champion for small business innovation. He is the founder and CEO of Unique Solutions of Advanced Technologies and the creator of My Workbelt, a cloud-based business operating system designed to give service-based small businesses the enterprise-level tools they need to thrive. With over 25 years of experience in the tech industry and a track record of serving Fortune 500 companies, Sree has made it his mission to bridge big league innovation to small business owners. He's been recognized twice with the MVP award by Corp magazine for his leadership and impact. But Sree's story began far from the boardrooms of Detroit, selling fertilizer as a teenager in India under the guidance of his father. That early spark ignited a lifelong passion for entrepreneurship. Today, he not only builds businesses, he builds communities. His recent venture, Serenity of Commerce, transformed a struggling adult foster care home into a warm, thriving sanctuary for memory-challenged women. From tech startups to compassionate care, from one-man operation to global teams, Sree's journey is a masterclass in resilience, innovation, and purpose-driven leadership, and I am truly pleased and honored to have him here today on the podcast. Good morning, Sree. How are you?
Wonderful. Thank you, John.
You are most welcome. Let's start the podcast by asking you a little bit more about where you grew up and what were some of the fundamental influences in your life.
John, thank you very much for that question. I was born and raised in South India, nearby the Pilgrim Center, worldwide known Pilgrim Center, in the remote villages of a small city over there. And went to college, university, got my engineering, and took my journey. While I'm doing the engineering, there was no computers used in the market in those days. In 1995, a new institute popped up in the city and got me curious, what is a computer about? And then in a blink of an eye, I became one of the most sought after consultants and educator of computer science in the market. That got me into a very good path for taking advantage of the advanced technologies coming into the market. Got me really excited as a curious engineer, and that led me to take a journey to the other side of the world. In 1999, I came to United States as a software consultant, business analyst and software consultant, and started my journey here in United States developing the software packages for large corporations. And certainly that didn't give me a great deal of happiness. Very quickly, I realized my passion is for small businesses. So there I quit the corporate jobs and started working for small businesses through unique solutions. And while I'm doing that, I recognized small businesses, there is a whole community of business owners. They don't have enough understanding of using technology. And that discovery led me to invent my work belt. Now, my work belt is making a huge difference for small micro businesses that are under 25 employees, streamline their operation, remove the chaos from their life, and be able to take some time and spend some time with their family. And
Great.
I'm really happy.
Tell me a little bit more about Workbelt itself. What does it do, and how does it help people spend more time with their families?
Thank you. That's a great question, John. When you are a small business owner, you generally start the business as you are the best in one aspect of the business. And then quickly you will realize that you are worst in dozen different aspects of the business that you are not aware. That is at least what I've learned in my case and from many of my business friends who started businesses. And at the same time, when you are going to learn these things, you found, okay, I wanted to use this technology for addressing human resources. I want to use this technology for addressing marketing aspects of it. I want to use this technology for addressing sending the invoices and accounts receivables, accounts payables. If you take a business as a multi geared machine, it has to be a well oiled, well connected gears in order for the machine to run smoothly so you don't have a chaotic noise in your life. Every small business owner in that area that I have spoken to, they have expressed a couple of things that is really dawned me that they need help. One is they really don't know if they are making money or not on a given project. Second, they are working 24 by 7. Believe it or not, they are. Even in their sleep, they are dreaming about how to get next project on board, right? And they don't have a peace of mind to spend time with their families. Even if they take a vacation, their mind is still going back on the business. They cannot fully focus on the quality time with their families. Why? Because there's a lot of disconnection in different gears of the business. I have seen large corporations run smoothly for the most part. They have enterprise level operating systems built to connect all these gears and transform data from one gear to the other gear. And information flow is so smooth and very little chaos in their business leaders lab. And that allows them to innovate. And that's how large corporations are growing and they're continuously innovating. So I wanted to bring that knowledge and that capacity to the small businesses. And that's where my work belt is helping small businesses from sales all the way to delivery, upselling, and it creates everything a streamlined operation.
So, in a lot of respects, what you're helping them do is what I get from what you've just said is you're helping them manage the chaos.
Exactly. And in many
Because,
cases, mitigate it.
yeah, mitigate the chaos because they just don't see the connection between all the different pieces or all the
Yes.
different points in a small business. So that's what keeps them from having a good time with their family is
That's
that
right.
they don't know.
They don't know.
They just don't know how it all fits together. And so I would say, correct me if I'm wrong, that work belt gives you much more of a strategic perspective as well. Is that correct?
It is indeed, but when you're talking about a small business, they don't even think strategic aspects, right? Their thinking is, how am I going to get next bit, right? Especially the service-based industries, they are hunting for projects every single moment of their life, right? If they don't have time to hunt, there is no next meal on their plate. Now you are putting the risk of their team members and talking about 5, 10, 20, 25 families at risk. Think about the level of stress on a business owner's mind if they can't hunt the next project. Now, why they can't hunt is because they are continuously putting off the fires for lack of proper line. If you relieve that challenge from their lap, they can peacefully focus and hunt for new projects.
Yeah.
Some cases, if they have a small team of 1 or 2 salespeople, and they don't know how much is in the pipeline, the business owners. If they know how much is in their pipeline, they can make strategic moves. They don't need to call it a strategic move, but they can make moves that will benefit their business.
Yeah, I experienced that myself. Last year, I was working with a fence building company to help them. They have several different places of business across the United States. Their job was to fill the funnel. Basically, just keep filling the funnel and hopefully we'll get something out at the back end so that we can make money this month.
Exactly.
And I work with them on the strategic thinking process I created. And now they have a much more strategic perspective to their training and how they want to come to the marketplace, what they truly represent. They had a mission statement that was a page long.
Yeah.
And I said, you need to have it in one sentence so everybody can understand simply, clearly what you guys do,
Correct.
Where you're going, how you're going to get there. I worked with the general manager to create a mission statement that we could use during a strategic thinking session. At the end of the strategic thinking session, they cut another 5 or 6 words out. So it's like maybe 12, 14 words total. And they all said, yeah, that's who we are. It was so clear to them what they brought to the marketplace, what they did. So they became more strategic. They could choose where they wanted to go and how they wanted to represent themselves to the marketplace. Managing chaos is hard.
Absolutely. Now that, again, the tools are important. If you have tools, you can manage anything.
Right. That's right. I think we're short on tools in a lot of respects. In the leadership world, we're short on tools. It's always big ideas. And the question is, how do you execute those ideas? Those are the tools. How do we execute the ideas? Go ahead, take it. Run with it. Go ahead.
So what I'm saying is sometimes you will have the tools, but then you are quickly realizing the challenge that the tools don't talk to each other. If your blood is going from one part of the body to the other part, at the end, it has to reach the heart, right? If there is a leaks in between, it's a disaster for your body, isn't it? And business runs the same way. There is no different. The information have to freely flow without leaks from one end of the business operation to the other end of the business operation. Otherwise, you end up having a chaos in your lab. Just an example. A salesperson sell a job and a delivery manager has to deliver what the salesperson sold, what the salesperson committed the promises. If the information don't flow to the delivery manager, and delivery is going to be wrong, what the salesperson promised. Now what happened? The upsetting customer and chaos, lawsuits, all kinds of troubles. Now who had to deal with it? Business owner. Neither salesperson is dealing with it, nor delivery manager is dealing with it. When it comes to the lawsuit and complaints from the customers, it has to be dealt by the business owner.
Yep. That's exactly
And that removes the time that they can go hunt for new projects or make strategic thinking and growth patterns.
Create a sustaining client.
Indeed.
So if you can't execute, if you can't get the product or the service to the client, you may have shut off an ability to create a long-lasting client.
Correct.
There is no further sales from that person. You have to go out and find something new. That's hard to do.
That is difficult to do. See, my wonderful business coach taught me one thing. At the end of the day, no matter what the business, you working for creating raving fans. If you don't create raving fans, you will be vanished very quickly.
That's correct.
Now, how do you create raving fans? Not by bribing them, not by giving them freebies, by delivering what you committed. Market is expecting
That's exactly right. Solving their very specific problem.
no pain, no gain. And if they have a pain, you solve their problem and you relieve their pain, and they become raving fan in no time.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Sometimes the execution becomes somewhat difficult, at least in the minds of many people.
That's where I'm going back to the information flow from one end to the other end. And in a business environment, information is bloodline. And if that doesn't freely flow from one end to the other end of the business, you have a disaster.
I agree. Completely agree. Let's move on to another question, if I can. Serenity of Commerce is a powerful story of transformation from a struggling foster care home to a thriving, compassionate community. What drove you to take on that challenge, and how did your entrepreneurial mindset shape the outcome?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. It's pretty emotional topic. Why I say that is culturally in India, we take care of the elderly. The children is responsible for taking care of the elderly. And that culture is changing. Nothing is permanent, and the culture is changing. Not that I am trying to villainize the younger generation. That's not what I'm trying to do. It's just a natural evolution. The opportunities are there, and children are going far away from their hometowns, whereas the parents don't want to go far away from their hometowns because they are emotionally connected, attached to the land, relationships they established. So it is creating a great deal of challenge for having their children around them to take care of it. And in some cases, children take advantage of the elderly and they don't care. They don't provide care. So 30 years ago, my mission, my dream is to create a shelter where the elderly who was not cared by their children needed to be nurtured and cared and give them a comfort life at the end of their life journeys. But then it dawned on me, why am I waiting? Why can't I do this here? I am living here. And then while I'm thinking about it, it's very interesting. The universe works in a very interesting way. And an opportunity came into my lap that, hey, there is a memory care facility that is purely helping women who are in memory challenge. They are about to be shut down by the state for not following proper guidelines and necessary code of conduct. So I end up taking over. You and I talked about it a minute ago that culture, and if the values don't align, you will have a big trouble. So I quickly learned that the values, not having right values in the culture of that organization, creating a chaos in the lap of their ownership. And they end up wanting to get out of that because they just didn't recognize it. Wonderful leaders they are, wife and husband, they were running business. They're good people, but just they didn't understand the importance of value and culture. The success story, fast forward 5 years. Immediately, me and my manager, we focused on instilling the values and culture. More than 60% of the staff left, not because they were not paid, purely because they were misaligned with the culture, with the values that they bring. And we end up saying, okay, that's okay, because right values is the right business model. And care for the elderly has to be the first priority. At the end of the day, the women that we have to represent them. We have to be their eyes and ears and mouth for them because they're memory challenged. They can't remember what they did a minute ago. If you don't track all those things, you don't represent them to the doctor what they're going through, they will not get better care. They will get wrong medication, and then their life is in jeopardy. So That culture created a beautiful environment. And now I can proudly say that we have not a single COVID case. During the COVID case, elderly care facilities were under the magnifying glass, but we didn't have a single COVID case because of that culture, because of that values that we put in place. And it's a monumental achievement. And it's very painful, but we achieved that. Very
Yeah, absolutely. I understand that. I took care of my mom into her 90s, and she was very memory challenged. I had to be there for every medical doctor's appointment. I was always in continuous communication with them.
yeah.
I knew what the meds are. I make a joke that I should have a master's degree in psychopharmacology. I knew what all the meds were. I knew what they did. I knew what they didn't do. And when they would try to change one, I'd say, be careful here. She may not do that well on this one. I completely understand how gut-wrenching it can be and how hard it can be to keep those things aligned. And again, it goes back to our conversation that values matter.
Values
You
matter.
align on values, you're more than halfway to being successful in terms
Yes.
of the way I look at it. And of course, the other one for me is perseverance, higher for heart. People who've gone through difficult situations know how to get things done. They know how to persevere, get through bad times, and triumph in the end. I'm with you 100% on that.
You see, one of the books, I don't remember exactly
Go-
what book. Unfortunately, I didn't remember. What I've learned is a lot of organizations hire for technical skills and fire for lack of personality. Now, if you flip it, hire for personality and hire for technical skills is not good either. But one thing we have to recognize it, once you hire for personality, it is easy to provide them the technical skills. And now you are creating a successful, long-lasting team. We
Agreed.
have employees that are working for 12 years, and I've never met them in person. We do calls, video calls, but that's about it, like you and I. Working on a single mission for 12 years requires a great deal of cultural cohesiveness and understanding between people that you don't talk, you don't meet, you don't see in person, and it's a remote community.
I learned one of the most valuable lessons in life when I was a very young naval officer.
Yeah.
One of the things I came to realize very shortly was give me a person. The Navy sends you people. You can't say, we don't want these people. No, you had to develop them. We developed our own, or grew our own, as we used to say.
Yes.
One of the things I learned was give me the person who has the right attitude, basically wants to be a learner. They're a learner.
Yeah.
And I'll train them to do anything.
Yes.
We'll make them into incredible leaders, technical people who understand exactly how to do the job, and we will reinforce their careers, and make them great simply by just giving me the person with the right attitude. I think that still prevails today in many respects. Give me the people who have the values that match the values that I need in order to make the organization go forward. So I'm
Right.
absolutely in line with you there. Absolutely.
See, even in Throttle Up Leadership book, you have talked about values, right? That is a key component for being any leader. Anybody, if they wanted to be a leader, they have to practice the values at a higher standard.
No, absolutely. I talked about that a lot. The values matter. So I'm absolutely on board with you there. I will tell you that I'm extending that now. I'm in the process of the next step,
Yeah.
if you will, in Throttle Up Leadership. And that is what I refer to as the Throttle Up Leadership Operating System, the new operating system for the world we live in the disrupted AI world we live today, the post-COVID, we're losing institutional trust world we live in today.
Right.
So, and it's all about values in the local level, values in an organization to be the guiding light for what people in that organization can do in the future and how to deal with rapid, complex change, which was always the theme of Throttle Up in any case. We'll see how that works itself out in the next few months. We'll get that information out there. I'm actually building some Udemy courses.
Is that right? Yes.
Yeah, so that'll be interesting to see where it goes.
And wait to see them.
So let me ask you this question as we're moving along. You've talked about building ecosystems of talent. How do you approach team building across cultures and time zones while maintaining mission alignment?
Oh, that's a wonderful question, John. I mean, it's over the course of 15 years, I built the team, more than 15, now it's 18 years. I built the team across the world. We have team members in my work belt. We have team members working in the United States, even within the United States, not in one place. California, Missouri, Texas, Michigan, and outside of the United States, we have in Canada, UK, Pakistan, India, all over the world we have. Why it didn't happen overnight. It happened one at a time. Over the course of this journey, I've learned one thing that is key, that in order to build the multicultural team and create a diverse group of people to work together and align them to the single mission and one direction. Trust. You have to trust your team. Now, when I say trust your team, I'm not saying close your eyes and be blinded. You have to give them through actions that trust without any questions. Now, can you trust me? Right? You don't even need to ask that question. Once you demonstrate through actions that I trust you, no matter what part of the world they are, they give their life to you. It is just in the DNA of a human being, right? Now, there are some people that you can trust and you don't trust. Without negativity, there is no positivity. But at the same time, you have to see the positivity in your team. That's where the greatness comes into picture in building the global team. And the responsibility, give them the empowerment and allow them to make mistakes and ask them questions. What happened? Why they made mistake? Let them learn. Guide them to learn what their mistakes are and help them to correct their mistakes for the future. So these are the principles that have helped me to build the global.
I always say that trust is the fuel that runs any organization and any relationship. But you have no relationship. You have nothing if you have no trust. I use the term, I want to just talk about this just for a couple of seconds. I use the term, I've really learned the value of the term mutual trust. Okay? And I'll explain what I mean by that. When we see trust between a leader and an organization, we know that the leader wants to trust the people and that the people want to trust the leader. But what we really need is for the people in the organization to trust one another.
Absolutely.
That's a mutuality of trust. Trust has a systemic inference, meaning if someone in the organization doesn't trust a couple of other people in the organization, it brings the whole organization down.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
So that it's great when a leader trusts the people and people trust the leader, but they got to trust one another.
That's very much.
Go ahead, take it and run with it.
No, that's true. You see your team members, they are watching, whether they're watching you right in person, they're watching you online, they're watching you, right? Now they pick up what you're doing. If you're doing right, they pick up what you're doing right. And if you're doing wrong, they pick up, they can take it, okay, I can do wrong as well. Now guess what happened? If one do wrong, others don't trust, and then your whole culture collapses. So it is extremely important. The leadership of the organization is the paving the path for having the right culture and right values.
I absolutely agree. That's so important. You also said something that really rings with me. It's about the actions you take to build trust. It's not just, it just doesn't happen. You have to earn it.
Yes.
You have to earn the trust, and it takes a bit of doing sometimes. It may take a while for people to say, hey, that person earned my trust, and I've earned that trust back. So it's a period of action. I say deliberate, intended actions to build trust in an organization. We're getting close to the end, Sree, and I want to ask you this last question. Looking ahead, what's your vision for the future of small business innovation? And what role do you hope to play in shaping it? And I would like to ask you to think about the implication of artificial intelligence into the development of tools for small business as well.
That's a great question, John. Artificial intelligence, let me step back for a second. Within our lifespan, we have seen so many tech advancements, I should say, right? First of all, internet connection in late 1990s in the hands of public. I mean, internet was there, but it is not in the hands of public. And 99% of the people in the world doesn't even know what is internet connection. It's not too long ago. Now, that created a huge advancement in people's lives. And then you come around, I'm just quoting only few that are very prominent in my observation. Smartphones came around. It made a big, right? And then cloud-based technologies around. Every technology advancement is happened in our lifespan. One thing is very common. They don't replace the human being. They are tools in the hands of a human being to enhance the life of a human being. Now, all these tools is a double-edged sword. Why I say that? You can use them for good, you can use them for bad. Any tool, every tool, you can use it for good, you can use it for bad. Now, 90% of the human being, they use it for good, as it intended to. There are always bad actors who messes up with the rest of the life, right? So AI is also a tool that is in the hands of human being for advancement of the life and for providing in this context comparing large corporations. Why? Large corporations take time to make a great deal, to make any changes, to adapt. And small businesses are nimble. They can quickly adopt anything, they can move, and they can take it. Take the case, you are from Navy. Think about it, how much energy effort requires to turn a ship around compared to a yacht and even a boat. And that is where the benefit for the small businesses come in adapting and using artificial intelligence technologies. These is only people that will stay back is those who don't trust who don't want to be proactive adapting these technologies. They will stay back, and not that they're going to fall apart or anything immediately. They're not taking advantage of the tools that are being invented by the scientific community. That's all it is. But at some point, they're going to come around and they will be using it, right?
Yeah. I've made the observation just as you did. It's so funny. It's almost like it is so interesting to me. I was there at the beginning of the tech revolution in the late 80s, early 90s, when browsers were coming online.
Yeah.
When we were just starting to see pictures on CRTs. I like to tell the story. I built my first computer in 1993 when it had a whopping 1 megabyte of RAM.
Indeed.
I wrote my doctoral dissertation on that machine. Today I have a computer on my desk that has 48 gigabytes of RAM.
Correct.
It's crazy. But here's the thing, here's my observation. In the early 90s, late 80s, as you have said, the people were the constant, computers were the variable. how people adopted computers, brought them into life, how they used them to create things.
Right.
But today, computers are ubiquitous. Today, computers, everybody has a computer. Everybody walking around with a cell phone. That's a computer.
Absolutely.
Right? So now, computers are the constant and people are the variable. And I believe in the future, in the very near future, 5 years, AI, today AI is the variable, people's the constant, but in the near future, AI will be the constant and people will become the variable as they've always been.
Yeah.
So in the end, it's always about the people.
It's always about
Any last thoughts?
No, the perspective that you are sharing is interesting. It's constant and variable. However, I go back to my fundamental principle here. These AI computers, they are all tools in the hands. As long as we treat them as tools, there is a coexistence between technology and human being. And the minute you try to replace the human being with the technology, then you're getting into trouble.
Right.
So that's my take on it. I hope that helps.
Great. This has been a wonderful exchange. Truly a delight for me. I love meeting people with like-minded ideas. I think we're on an interesting pathway. I think it gets more interesting every day in the world we live in today. I can't thank you enough for your time today on the Throttle Up Leadership Podcast. I wish you, Workbelt, and all your ventures truly great success, continued success in the future. Thank you so very much for your time.
Jan, likewise, thank you very much for having me, for your well wishes and blessings.
Thank you. Same to you.
Thank you.